Hi everyone, my name is Vipul Roy. I am a CFA charter holder, and today in this video I am going to talk about what are the career paths for CFA charter holders and CFA candidates. So basically what we are going to talk about, what are the job opportunities which are there if you are a CFA charter holder or if you are pursuing CFA. So there are different options which are available for CFA candidates and CFA charter holders. Primarily, CFA focuses on portfolio management. So when I'm talking about portfolio management, what exactly it means? Let's say a person wants to invest money and he doesn't have the expertise. So obviously he'll take the help of an advisor, or maybe he'll take the help of a fund manager. This fund manager is going to take investment decision on behalf of investor because this fund manager has got more expertise as compared to the investor. Now, the moment fund manager is managing money on behalf of investors, he is going to charge some fee, maybe a kind of a profit sharing also, and maybe a fixed fee. Portfolio management is all about managing money or taking care of somebody's investments. Now, portfolio management can take various forms. Portfolio management can be, if you're looking from job perspective, you can go for a job with a mutual fund. You can become a fund manager with a mutual fund. Now, when I'm talking about mutual fund, what happens in case of a mutual fund? A mutual fund does what? They pool money from different set of investors. Let's say there are different set of investors, and these investors are giving money to a mutual fund. Let's say they have given this much amount. The fund manager of this mutual fund, he's going to make investments in stock market, and generally he'll make investment in public limited companies or listed securities. So let's say he is making investment in different securities. So these are the securities in which he has made an investment. Obviously, when the share price goes up, the value of this investment will also go up, and hence there'll be this will be beneficial for investors. So the first opportunity for a CFA candidate or a CFA charter holder is it to get into fund management or portfolio management, wherein he can become a fund manager. Now, in order to become a fund manager, there is a career path that we'll be discussing in the second video. Now, this is one of the aspects of portfolio management. Here, this fund manager is managing different investors' money. It's a pool of money, right? So many investors have contributed to the pool, and this fund manager is taking care of their investments. Now, if a large investor comes and he says that rather than managing or rather than taking care of thousands of investors' investment, why don't you take care of my investment only? Because I'm ready to give you 500 crore on my own, so you don't have to look for money from different set of investors. Now, in this case, this becomes part of your private wealth management. But here, private wealth management is not only about investing in securities. Private wealth management is you need to take care of this person's investment. It can be shares, it can be any product, right? When I'm talking about mutual fund, generally, I'm talking about mutual funds are making investment either in equities or debt. But when I'm talking about wealth management, fund manager can decide to invest in many asset classes. So this way, private wealth management and portfolio management both are similar in the sense that there is a fund manager who's going to make or take care of investors investments. But in private wealth management, it might happen that this guy, the fund manager or the advisor, he must be giving some kind of advice to the investors, and he is not taking any investment decision on behalf of the investor. So, as far as portfolio management is concerned, portfolio management can be done for different set of investors. At the same time, portfolio management can be done for a single client. Let's say he is a single client and he is a HNI, high net worth individual, right? In this case, there's a popular scheme called portfolio management scheme. So PMS are generally meant for HNIs. Retail investors generally they go for this route called mutual fund. As far as private wealth management is concerned, private wealth management is all about taking care of individuals investment. But here this guy is going to just make an advice to the investors. He might not be taking care of their investment decisions. He might not be deciding on their behalf. He'll just act as an advisor. So this becomes your private wealth management space, and we have talked about portfolio management. Another opportunity could be in form of a research. You can become a research analyst. When I'm talking about research analyst, you can be an equity research analyst. What is the job of an equity research analyst? Equity research analyst is going to do an analysis. So a fund manager is looking for certain investments. So how this equity research analyst is going to help the fund manager? Maybe he'll do some kind of analysis and he'll be able to pick out some sectors which he believes is going to outperform, or maybe a particular security. So he'll do a thorough analysis of the different sectors of economy, different securities which are getting traded in market, and based on this his analysis, he is going to recommend that this stock looks overvalued or undervalued, and he'll make his recommendation. Now, how to become an equity research analyst? We'll discuss that part again in the second video. This video is primarily for the purpose of making you understand that what are the job opportunities which are there. Next job opportunity is all about consulting. So there are various consultants, and they give certain advisory as far as strategic decisions related to finance of the company is concerned. So you can get into this consulting part also if you are pursuing CFA. Next opportunity would be in terms of risk analysis and risk management. Generally, whenever I am talking about investment has got two components. One is return, and the second one is risk. What CFA curriculum focuses on, they primarily focus on return, but they pay attention to risk as well. So if you want to make a career into risk management side, then obviously CFA is going to help you. But most of the people who are looking for risk analyst, right, and candidates who can manage risk, they go for people who have done FRM. So FRM is best suited for people who want to make a career in risk management, although CFA can also make a career here. Next option could be investment strategy. You are a strategist. You are advising somebody, right, whether to invest in a particular stock or not. Now, investment strategy is not similar to equity research. What I mean by investment strategy here, if a person tells you that, okay, fine, I'm giving you 100 crore rupees, how you are going to invest my money? That this investment strategy could be related to either you are making investment in stocks, or your making investments in bonds. At the same time, you need to hedge his position, so you might use some kind of a derivative strategies also. So investment strategy is something which is related to how to ensure that an investor is able to make return, at the same time minimizing his risk, and different strategies can be employed. Different strategies are there which you can different strategies can be made as far as stock selection is concerned. Now, if you want to minimize risk, you can use derivative strategies. You can trade in futures market. You can trade in options market. So investment strategist is a person who is going to advise how to make an optimal investment decision. Another area wherein you can get in is commercial banking. So what happens in the commercial banking space? So generally, what is the role of a bank? They take money from investors and they lend. Now, in commercial banking space, lending is one of the most important aspects, and many of the guys are working on the credit side. So what happens as a credit analyst? What decisions you need to take, whether we are going to lend to a particular individual or a particular entity or not, and you have to do a lot of credit analysis, right? So in this space also, CFA is going to help you. Another area could be your investment banking. So when I'm talking about investment banking, again, investment banking is one of the most desired jobs, and most of the people who are doing CFA or any other finance course, they look for a career in investment banking. So when I'm talking about investment banking space, there can be two components. One is your something called merchant banking. Now, what a merchant banker does, if a company is planning to come out with an IPO or a public issue, so generally this merchant banker advises at what price you are going to issue shares in the market, right? What should be the methodology, how you're going to issue shares. So all these advisory services will be done by a merchant banker. So herein also a CFA stands a very good chance. Second space could be in M&A advisory services. So whenever two companies are getting merged, so there is a lot of valuation activities which needs to be undertaken. There's a lot of due diligence which needs to be undertaken, right? Calculation of synergy. So herein also a CFA stands a very good chance. Now next would be your insurance industry. So insurance industry, what happens now? Many of the insurance in companies, they're coming out with plans like ULIP, unit linked insurance plans, which has an investment component also. So wherever you see some kind of an investment component, a CFA has a role. And obviously in insurance industry, there is a scope for underwriters also. So as an underwriter also, you have stand a very good chance to make an inroad into insurance industry. But I would suggest insurance is best suited for the candidates who are doing actuarial sciences. Another area could be your private equity space and hedge funds. Now let us understand what is a difference between a mutual fund and a private equity fund. So what happens? Mutual fund, they also pull in money from different investors and they make further investment in listed securities. When I'm talking about private equity space, they also pull in money from different investors, but generally these are not retail investors, these are qualified investors who have a very sound understanding of the market. And generally, these private equity firms, they make investment in unlisted securities. Now, in order to pick up which are the best suited investments as far as maximization of return and minimization of risk is concerned, obviously there has to be an analyst, right? There has to be a fund manager who is going to advise. So, in private equity space, also what happens? You have to do a lot of valuation. You have to do a lot of research. Herein also, a CFA stands a very good chance. Another space could be your hedge funds. When I'm talking about hedge funds, their working is very similar to a private mutual fund and private equity space. Again, they are pulling money from different set of investors. But as far as investments is concerned, they can invest anywhere. Wherever they see a chance, they can invest. They are not restricting themselves to either equities, bonds, unlisted securities. They can go to real estate. They can go for any security or any investment which is going to maximize their return. Right. So whenever you see something called return, whenever you see something called risk, a charter holder or a CFA candidate stands a good chance. Since we have talked about all these fields, all these career opportunities which are there as a CFA candidate and a CFA charter holder, now the question arises, how do we reach there? What all we need to do alongside CFA so that we stand a better chance to get into such jobs? Because most of the time what happens, you have cleared CFA level 1, CFA level 2 or CFA level 3, but you don't have the required practical skill sets. So in the next video I am going to suggest you alongside CFA what else can be done which enhances your chance of making an inroad into such jobs.